and ended up in somebody's pocket.
Well, the government knows where $1,000 you get paid goes, but they just can't figure it out, and they have no idea, kind of like the $2.3 trillion that was missing on September 10th, 2001 that we never heard about, and last time I heard it's over $5 trillion missing from the Pentagon. So that's why things are so corrupt. You're being watched under a magnifying glass, but the banksters and the government crooks, well, they don't know where the trillions are. Of
course not.
And if you don't like it, a drone will drop by.
Say hi. All right, so user Chris says, hey, Alex, been a long-time fan. I was wondering, how do you manage to keep from just exploding? I mean, every day I do more research, I see more documentaries, and it just gets harder to not be sick and just upset. So how do you keep from just losing it?
We are turning the corner here, and I've studied history. Things always get really bad before they get better. The old saying of it's always darkest before the dawn. We don't have a choice but to resist this, or our children have no future. I mean, it really goes back to that. And I've seen success when we fight tyranny. We've just got to get more people involved doing it and realizing it's a process. That doesn't mean you compromise. People say, well, that means compromise. No. It's a process in resisting and never compromising. Because defeat is in compromise. You can't compromise with a private Federal Reserve conquering your country. It's a fraud. You can't compromise with cancer viruses added to the vaccine. You can't compromise with a so-called government caught doing all these secret tests on our own troops. You can't compromise with evil. You can't compromise with cancer. This is not like we're having a debate with somebody. This is a scientific dictatorship, and we're going to kick their butt.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, so Georgia Boy asks, it's interesting how that Ron Paul, Rand Paul mess happened just days after Bilderberg 2012. I've also noticed, as you've stated, a dwindling communication coming from the Paul campaign in recent months. So do you believe that the Paul family's well-being might have been threatened, similar to, say, Ross Perot when he was running, he dropped out?
You know, Paul had to know what he was getting into. And again, the Pauls aren't our enemies. They've done a lot of good work. It's just, this is a real departure. They coordinated that announcement with Paul coming out that same day last Thursday and saying, hey, I'm not going to, try to challenge the delegates anymore. We've lost, but not saying it officially. And then Rand coming out and saying, I endorse Romney. I mean, what did they expect was going to happen? Ron Paul didn't endorse McCain 4 years ago. So that's why people are hurt. And then their response is, by some of their surrogates is, hey, I saw an article today in the New Jersey newspaper saying, hey, you're stupid and you need to grow up. So we need to grow up and like Mitt Romney and you know what, like a flip-flopping liar. Well, know what? We'll just let you guys go over and be with your Republicans and hang out at the country club. You're just mainline Republicans now. It doesn't mean Ron Paul's totally done that, but with the direction Rand's going with sanctions on Iran and talking about fantasies about the hero doctor that helped locate bin Laden and all this stuff. I mean, they're starting to play politics more. And that's okay. It hurts because we've supported them so much and they've done so much good. But now we just have to worry about not letting this demoralize us and just moving forward.
Right. On that note, actually, there have been a lot of users commenting that Governor Gary Johnson is one of those that potentially he's running with the Libertarian Party. Is there some sort of guest you want to bring in? Like, do you want to bring him in as a guest, or?
Well, it's funny the person asked this question because I haven't even read all these before we started taping this here. Basically taped to air. I already have him coming on Thursday. He's been on before, and again, we don't think he's going to win. But he can inject some ideas outside of the two-party mafia system. We had Jesse Ventura on today. What's the next one?
Right. All right. Shane Yickel asks, what's your opinion of Hustler founder Larry Flynt and his contributions to the First Amendment and free speech?
Well, I've talked to one of the main guys over there. Hustlers published 3 or 4 of our articles. How many is it, Aaron? 3 or 4? I don't know. At least 3. And when they called them and said, can we publish your article about 9/11? Can we publish your article about this? I say, sure.
Awesome.
Because it's just getting the info out to people. That's one of the biggest magazines in the country. Yeah. It's bigger than Playboy. Magazines aren't what they used to be with the internet, but it's popular. I don't particularly like how that exploits everybody. I see it as exploitive, but I wouldn't want to trample on their First Amendment. And I think it's a mixed bag. Larry Flynt's come out against the private Federal Reserve. I happen to have talked to folks at their offices. They say Larry Flynt does listen to the show sometimes and has seen the films. So we are influencing Larry Flynt. I think the things he does that some would see as morally objectionable. You know, Mitt Romney calls the cops on neighbors smoking pot legally in California every time they smoke it. Meanwhile, he's robbing old ladies' pension funds and getting banker bailouts. So there's this fake moralizing I always see by the really corrupt, and they're not even being hypocrites. They use it as a shell, as a front. Look, I'm all clean cut, and I call the cops on my neighbor for smoking pot. But meanwhile, you know, they're involved getting banker bailouts and promoting wars and police state. So I don't agree with a lot of what Larry Flynt does, but, you know, he's not really something that's on my radar screen. And I think overall I've seen him come some way towards reality. So it's a complex question, but that's my view on Larry Flynt. So, hi, Larry.
Well, that's it for the Ask Alex questions. Thank you again, Alex Jones, for answering these. And keep them coming in the Ask Alex group on Planet InfoWars.
That's right. And this is really our second one. We shot one on an iPhone the other day that hasn't aired yet. So the first installment will air as the second installment tomorrow. But tonight there's this lengthy installment. And Christy's also going to be doing a few times a week reports on PlanetInfoWars.com, PlanetInfoWars.com, we should add, where she reviews the articles, poetry, groups, whatever you're doing. So watch PrisonPlanet.tv and then the YouTube channels for that as well. And we have got to go because Aaron has got to get from behind the camera and get in there and start getting ready to cover the news you're going to see this on. So we'll see you. We'll say bye, Christy.
Bye. Thank y'all.
Have you been to InfoWarsShop.com lately? Express your inner patriot with these brand new InfoWars t-shirts. Say it loud with the InfoWars Bullhorn shirt, or educate the sheeple with the Bill of Rights shirt. Grope the public's mind with the TSA shirt. And with this shirt, you can let the dark side know of the Rebel Alliance's power. All available at InfoWarsShop.com.
For more than 6 years, I've talked on the air about creating a social network. PlanetInfoWars.com is in its beta phase. We're just launching it. And I want to invite all of you out there to be in on the ground level. Planet InfoWars is about people coming together, forming activist organizations, getting involved politically, hunting and fishing, gardening, dating. This is a place for people who love freedom to meet and to talk and to write and to post information. And I give you this pledge. We are not going to spy on you and sell your data to the New World Order. PlanetInfoWars.com is free, so people who love freedom can get together, connect with people who are awake and know what we're facing. Be active, organize, take action, go viral, create, contribute, resist, because resistance is victory. You are victory. It's waiting for you to breathe power into it. PlanetInfoWars.com.
We are back on the InfoWars Nightly News. We're joined now by Adam Kokesh of AdamVersusTheMan.com. Adam, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, as you know, it's been a big week with Rand Paul, Ron Paul news. Where does the Republican Party go from here? What does it mean that Mitt Romney is virtually the same as Obama? At least that's how I see it. How do we fight the man within the party, or do you think that is a good strategy? Let's break some of this down.
Well, first, about the significance of the Rand endorsement, what I'm seeing is there's kind of a shakeout going on within the movement, and people are shaking out the Rand Pauls. And it's sad to think that there is a division in the Paul family somewhere, but clearly Rand is not his father. It doesn't embrace his philosophy, doesn't agree with him on how to engage in the political process. And it's possible that Ron supports him in his difference of opinion, but this represents a split within the movement as well. There were a lot of people that Rand drew in from conservatism, from minimal government conservatism, and then there are those who are loyal to Ron, those of us who are the anarcho-capitalist, libertarian voluntarists. And what we're seeing is all of the Benedict Arnolds clearly identifying themselves now trying to make excuses for Rand Paul endorsing Mitt Romney. So if anything, this is a good thing in the long run for our movement, because it is helping us develop a more concrete identity of what it means to be a libertarian, what it means to be a part of the freedom movement and the Lovolution. Now, that being said, just to give my credentials as a hardcore libertarian here, I think that there is validity to the strategy of working within the Republican Party. And it's not that we sacrifice our principles or take on some utilitarian approach of the means being justified by the ends, but we need to look at what the avenue to power is in the current structure, in that the sheeple have invested so much power in the two-party system that we have to acknowledge the reality of that. And while I would love for the Libertarian Party to be a viable force, you see with Gary Johnson, we nominated someone this year who isn't quite a philosophical libertarian, and that's really disappointing, and there's a lot of missed potential there, especially in the year of Obamacare versus Romney care. It's a great opportunity to be the libertarian candidate if only we had a true libertarian. So I think we can keep working within the Republican Party, because the fundamental split between the two parties is bigger government or smaller government. And while I am absolutely committed to my principles and staying absolute to those, and making sure that people that I trust to work with are people who share those values, the idea of forming coalitions and being allies with people who disagree with you is essential to making change. And I think working within the Republican Party gives us a way of doing that, as well as taking over this mechanism of power. And it's happening anyways. You know, the libertarian movement is going to be manifest one way or another eventually politically. It's just a matter of by what mechanism. And if the Republican Party provides the most effective mechanism, I don't have a problem with that. I'll just always be a libertarian who happens to be a Republican and not the other way around.
Well, I'm anything but inside the Ron Paul group. I'm not inside the party. I'm not part of the behind-the-scenes strategy, but certainly it felt like a kick in the stomach this week, at least from where I sit. Why did Rand position himself as though he were inheriting his father's ideas if he never was that person? Why didn't he platform on that? And furthermore, why didn't he ask Romney if he wanted the endorsement to publicly show he was moving towards some of the better ideas rather than further towards the Obama center?
Oh, man. Well, it really shouldn't have been a kick